Clap, clap.
We need one of those actual chalkboard ones.
Yeah, so what's the buyer's one?
Yeah. As a late Christmas present, it would really step up. We might do it more regularly then.
Yeah. Well, so the reason, one of the many reasons we haven't done them is that there's just an amount of work involved in recording, and then the audio goes wonky every time. So we've got a mic up here, and I have to sync up the sound, which is what the claps are about. And if that camera just worked and the sound didn't go off, it'd be far easier. So as it is, we've got 2 additional cameras on top filming, and that could fall over at any time. So
all the fun of the fair, and then also it's just like finding a time for our 2 diaries to meet up, isn't it? You know, that's always a toughie.
You were in. Where did you go to? Denmark.
Sweden.
I went to Iceland, and then
we were both working up to Christmas.
Yeah,
find
work
a time.
was busy, and then I'm in London again next week.
Yeah.
So it's just one of them things.
Absolutely. But here we are at long last.
We did say we'd do one before Morpeth Away.
Yes, but
And Morpeth Away has not happened.
Exactly.
So
we're still technically on time. We're on schedule. So
I'm a little bit worried about the audio here again, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So what do you know?
Well, it's been a wild ride, hasn't it? We were working out when the last one was, and obviously the last one was just after that FC United win, wasn't it?
It was.
And I think it's just been. You need stamina. That's the word I use for this season. Do you know what I mean?
I missed a few games. I had a bit of a break.
And you do need stamina because it can become.
It can be draining. I can speak from experience here that when you're involved in it every day, it just takes your energy.
Of course it does, and I think it. Because you know how hard everyone's working as well, and I think that's a frustrating thing. And you just know that the position, I wouldn't say we're in, because I think the form in the last 5 games has been really encouraging. The position we were in, especially the immediate games coming out of that FC one, is as a result of so many factors out of the club's control, out of Chaddy's control, out of whatever we do on the training pitch's control, because we've been, a number of things, right? Our wage budget fundamentally is the smallest in the league. Now, I know so many clubs say that. FC United like to stake that claim.
I do think that no one actually knows. Cleggy probably knows.
Cleggy will know, but and Brad. But
when we signed Louis Myers, he said that, and I don't know if this was true. He said someone had got a photo of a flip chart of Renault's that had all the wage, a breakdown, and whether he's put that out deliberately as mind games, I don't know. But apparently it wasn't massively different to ours.
Really?
So
well,
you never know.
But either way, what I will say, we've got a minuscule budget, and I highly doubt. In fact, no, I know for a fact.
Well, you know this.
That FC United have got a higher budget than us.
You know for a fact that there's teams in the league below outbidding us for players.
There's teams in the North West Counties outbidding us for players.
I know this through talking to people.
And
they've got no, nothing to prove.
Exactly.
To prove by making.
And
figures
I think when you've got the smallest wage budget in the league, you are so restricted in terms of your depth. So we had that. And then, but what Chaddy's been able to do, he's been able to manage that budget quite well, I think, because he's brought in some real quality and real skill.
Yeah.
But where we've really been unlucky, I think, is with the injuries that we've had, and because we've not been able to get the best out of Lewis Mansell in this run. We've not been able to get the best out of. I'm trying to think of other, like Josh Solomon Davies has been very on and off and stuff like that. And I think there is no mistake in the fact that our best run of form has come. Now Lewis Mansell's back in the side.
Well, I said on Saturday, whatever New Year's Day was at Lancaster, I said that Enoch, who will get to Enoch, and Lewis Mansell as a front line could be as good as anything in this league.
Absolutely. And I think we've just been so unlucky with injuries that we've not, because we've got the smallest budget in the league. I was sure 1 to 11 we're pretty, I would say it's a decent enough squad. But once you lose a couple of those 11s, that's where you become we're not as good as as good that this division needs.
Some of the squads that we've had out, there've been like 3 people on the bench, and you can have 5.
And 2 of them have been injured.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we've had one fit person on the bench, and that normally is a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And you're already stretching things to the very limit.
And when you stretch to the very limit, you can see the goal, your head goes down, you think, well, my God, we don't have the impact of the bench. So, you look, take that Bacup Borough game, for example, when we lost in the Lancashire Cup. It's one of those where you've just got to go, we're doing the best we can. They're doing the best they can.
The Bacup Borough game was interesting because we've not been in the North West Counties since 2016, and I've not watched a North West Counties Prem game since those days. I've seen Division 1 games.
I've seen a couple.
And for me, the physicality of Bacup Borough, where we were in that league, there was no one that big.
I think Bacup Borough is still in Division 1. They're still they're not in the Premier Division.
I thought they were in the
no.
Oh wow.
And I saw Bacup last season. Actually, they were in the First Division Cup final at Congleton.
Right.
They were playing some not like new
Right. Yeah. Whitchurch.
No, not Whitchurch. It was Newton. It's by Liverpool or something like that. Playing yellow. And one thing I will say about Bacup is when they get up for a cup tie, they're the typical team you do not want to play in the third round of the FA Cup.
Well, this is what I said to their supporters at the end. One of them asked me, "Did we deserve that?" I went, "Well, you wanted it more."
Yeah, and they do. They do want it. And ultimately, we have got a love affair with the Lancashire Trophy. That is our cup as a club, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when you're in the position we're in this season,
with
the amount of injuries that
you can't do that extra 10%
exactly
and risk getting another injury. You have to rein it in.
And don't get me wrong, Chaddy was gutted after the game. I spoke to him,
but
not in a formal interview sense or anything like that. And he was gutted. He was furious. He wanted to win that. Wow. It's not like they went into that game not wanting to win it.
No.
But ultimately, I think when you're on the pitch, it's a different story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, look, there were 70 people on.
Yeah.
30 of which were from Bacup. What
I always think is when the team like that comes here, they're all up for it because they're thinking,
they've got nothing to lose.
They're thinking I can get a move here.
Yeah,
I can get a move into the Northern Premier League from the North West Counties.
But Brent Peters is Mr. Motivator.
Yeah.
He would have wanted a win and nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
So look, as far as I was concerned, losing to Bacup was not a disaster. I was like, you know what, we've avoided 3-4 extra games there, which we could do now.
I stood with you behind the goal and watched the game. Didn't film it. I don't know why. I just fancied the break.
Yeah.
And Dylan Moonen scored a fantastic goal. We didn't capture it, so ultimately though, we couldn't have used that anyway because we lost 2-1. So that's the frustrating thing.
Yeah, you flush that game away, don't you? If you lose.
Yeah, and it's not the only one.
Yeah, and it's it is what it is, and ultimately, I mean, look, what more can you say about the Lancashire Trophy other than it's Lancashire Trophy? The semi-finals at Leyland, the finals at Leyland. If you win it, great. If you don't, I suppose we had good fun last season in it. Finally winning a semi-final against Bamber Bridge.
Yeah.
Getting through to that final. And drawing against Southport, but ultimately how far, I mean, good grief, I've never seen such an anticlimactic trophy lift as Southport's, at the LFA last season. We would have lifted with a bit more spur and vigour, but it's the Lancashire Cup. I'm not going to lose sleep over that ultimately. Right. And people don't know this, you don't get money for progressing in the Lancashire Cup. If anything, you lose money because you've got to split the gate as well. So it was a night where the club most likely lost money as well. So
fantastic.
Not a great time all round. That's the beauty of regional cups, though.
Shall we sweep that one under the carpet?
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah. So we weren't going to go through all the games because there's some that I just don't want to.
No.
But we're going to talk about the people who've left and the people who've arrived, because one of the problems, you talk about injuries, etc. One of the issues we've also got is that when a player like Joe Adams arrives,
Harvey Gregson,
and delivers, I don't think that Harvey delivered in the same way Joe did.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But we'll discuss Harvey because he was such a good lad. So I don't want to put him down.
Yeah.
But Joe delivered.
Yeah.
and he's resurrected his career. He's still in this league, but he's pushing for the league. He'll be in the playoffs.
Second in the league now.
You never know. So the vultures can swoop.
And the vulture named Clegg is the most violent, cutthroat, and brutal of them all. And he would agree. He would agree. I don't mean that disrespectfully. If anything, I mean it quite respectfully, because he's very good at what he does, isn't he?
He's really good at what he does.
And we've always been that team. We have always been that team where players come impressed and tend to move on. Do you know what I mean? Like
I don't mind.
No, neither do I. So, like last season, you had your J. Fitzmartins and stuff like that. And I think
it'd be nice if someone really did kick on.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And so we'll go over.
But I mean, one thing, Joe came in. A bit of a downer in his career, didn't really know where he was going, what he was doing. Chaddy gave him a chance. Joe appreciated that. Joe did. He worked hard. He delivered. That goal against FC and stuff like that. And he's gone to Rylands. We wish him all the best, but that's the reality. Rylands can offer him money we can't. And ultimately, he's going to Rylands, a club with ambitions. Clear ambitions to move up to the Conference North, with a very proven, successful manager in the form of Michael Clegg, Nicky Hunt, former professional football manager, assistant manager, Louis Hardcastle, former professional footballer as a first team coach. If you're a young aspiring footballer, that's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Because you might be going to Rylands where actually their crowds, I guarantee you, no matter what the attendance figures say, are smaller than ours. Their facilities.
But that's not why you're there.
No, correct. Their facilities are not as nice as ours, but
you're there to get back.
You're there to win.
Yeah.
You're there for the contacts that Cleggy, Nicky and Louis has, and you're there to impress. And
you're in the shop window for what everyone wants is to get back into the Conference North, the Conference or the Football League.
Who knows?
Yeah. So we mentioned Harvey as well. Harvey's gone to Marine.
And Harvey, I liked Harvey actually. I thought Harvey Gregson was probably the best player in the squad. I did think that. I just thought he had a technical skill.
Yes.
And a strength, and that was the biggest difference. There was a strength with Harvey. He was never bullied off the ball. No. And teams found it really, really, really hard to take the ball off him and defend against him. And again, where did he come from, Harvey Gregson?
Harvey came from Fylde.
Yeah. So it's nothing really worked out for him, in that context. And again, Chaddy got him down, and I think that's a strength of Chaddy's. That's one thing I'm learning. Yeah. He's very, very good at getting the down and outs.
So the problem with that is, it's not a problem, but it's a short-term problem.
Of course it is.
That people aren't fully match fit and raring to go.
Yeah, and we've seen that with a few players this season. But Chaddy is very good, and I think that's because Chaddy is always, as we talked about when we first got him as manager, he's always worked in that kind of youth setup, hasn't he? He worked at Chorley under 21s.
Games, and that's our main selling point. Is we can offer you games in this league.
in a competitive level, and you will learn because playing on our pitch is not easy, and stuff like that. Playing in a team where you are going to be battling from first minute to 90 is not easy, so you will learn and grow strong as a result. But a lot of respect for Harvey, and again, it's a no-brainer. Marine.
I believe I did read that Marine he was on contract there, so there's some sort of financial security as well.
Marine don't have, or as far as I'm aware, either way, Marine more or less all players are contracted there. So again, when you look at it from Harvey's point of view, you think, oh my God, Marine playoffs, playing at that ground in front of nearly 1,000 people every game. A contract, Neil Young as your gaffer. No,
good luck to Harvey. Everyone speaks highly of him.
Absolutely, and he was so polite, lovely lad. So
also leaving, we covered quite well was Nico.
Yeah, Nico, and I think we were talking beforehand. We were saying, isn't it strange because Nico, he wasn't actually at the club that long, was he? Realistically, he's had a season and a half. Yeah. But it's that one thing we always say with players at Colls is character. Do you know what I mean? Nico got it and gets this club, and I think one thing it is about Nico is his whole family does. Do you know what I mean? When his mum and dad, his mum used to come over from Florida, his dad used to come over from Denmark and stuff like that, and they loved the Colls, and we loved them as a result. And I think there's this kind of mother-like, father-like pride with Nico because we've seen him develop. He came in at the club last season as quite a shy lad, quite small, didn't have the biggest voice, wasn't the most confident in commanding his area, compared to this season, when at times he's been unstoppable.
He's kept us in games.
Absolutely.
To be fair.
And
I think that FC United game will live long in the memory.
That last 10 minutes, without him, it could have easily been 2-2 for sure. So, yeah.
Jordan Fagbola left, and he was the club captain at one point.
Yeah.
And it's all a bit strange that it was difficult for us because we should have had a closer relationship with the club captain, and that's on us that we didn't really. That we never interviewed Jordan as as the club captain. But there's reasons behind that. Is that there's so many players came in that we were just overloaded.
And also, beyond 3-4 games, Jordan wasn't a regular name on the team sheet, and I think that's again one of those situations where you built an entire new squad. You think, oh right, well he's going to be on my team sheet regularly. A few games in, it's not quite working out, and you're thinking.
There's just the smallest margins. I think back to that Rylands game at home where their first goal, the equaliser even, went through his legs, and that cannons off either of your shins and it doesn't go in.
And I think
small margins.
When he came in from Hyde, there weren't big expectations per se, but
the thing is though, he was one of the senior players.
Yeah,
everyone was so young
in a very young squad.
Yeah, him and Josh Askew were the only real experience we brought in.
Yeah, and so Jordan's dropped down a level. He's at Trafford. Good luck to him. I mean, I do, and I'm sure Jordan would agree, it's a level I think he'd be a bit more comfortable with. I think there were a couple of games perhaps where he might have been, I don't know, struggling, but yeah, he's at Trafford now.
Yeah, good luck to him. I always got on with him.
So. Yeah.
And the final one was Ollie Patrick left. He was on loan from Accrington Stanley, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was a good player.
Very good player. And he played for the first team after he was here in the EFL Trophy.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, so that...
He was a good player.
He was a very good player, technically. And just a few weeks here, that proving he could hack it with, the physicality, as well... he's highly regarded at Accrington, so that'll hold him in good stead.
And we've got a bit of a nice link growing with Accrington, really, haven't we? Because Lewis Mansell obviously came from there and stuff like that. Yeah. Not directly, but there is a link. Yeah. So yeah, good luck to him. It's I didn't realise he'd been back in the first team, so that's good.
Yeah. So we've got a number of comings in.
Absolutely.
Ollie Putnam was the first one to come in. Now, I'm not sure how the timeline fits, but I think Ollie's a replacement for Harvey as an attacking midfielder.
Where did he come from again, Ollie?
No, Nathan's dad told me this, and I think he'd been at Bootle last season.
Right, okay.
I'm not quite sure where he'd been this season,
right.
But he's got experience in the Northern Premier League.
And he's a very skillful player. I've seen plenty of evidence of that. I think he played against Workington on Boxing Day, and he was pretty integral actually. I think. In the middle of that park, he's a good player, really good player, and I think you can tell whether a player's going to do well here and gets his football club in the first half hour, and Ollie absolutely does. So
it's a chance for him.
Yeah, definitely.
So we needed a goalkeeper.
Yes,
and Chaddy brought in Joe O'Shaughnessy, who I believe right at the start it was Joe that he first contacted. To come in, but Joe had committed to being at Leek Town, a man of his word. Chaddy's a man of his word, and it didn't work out, but here he is now.
He's a big lad,
he looks a good keeper.
He's a big lad. Yeah. And again, he's impressed. I mean, look, if anyone was at that Workington game, Joe won us that game without a shadow of a doubt, because we came under pressure the last 15 minutes. Workington threw everything at us, and Joe had to make about 5 or 6 match-winning saves, and they were match-winning saves as well, up this end, actually.
Yeah, that's good for the fans to see a bit of confidence.
And he was awesome. He was awesome. He was a brick wall. Yeah. And I think it will, it's... Everyone knows goalkeeper's probably one of the toughest positions on the pitch. Yeah. I mean, imagine coming into a side that has been pretty, rife with injuries, so hasn't had a stable back 4 or 5 all season.
The back four needs to be foundations
exactly.
to build on.
And we've had so many individual little injuries in there where
Yeah.
we've not been able to build that foundation per se. So he's coming into that.
Yeah.
He's coming into a team that's conceded, you know,
A lot of
3-4 goals
yeah.
a game.
Yeah.
You know, it's a step up. It's a league above.
Yeah.
He's absolutely proved his salt, and you know, I've got a lot of time for Joe. Actually, I think he's a good keeper. He's loud, and again, he gets it. So yeah.
Coming at the same time was Mo Ali. So Mo, we lost to Mo, we gained a Mo.
Yes.
And Mo is a Somali international.
Is he the one that played for Warrington?
Yes, he's been at Warrington. I think
he wasn't. He didn't play against Lancaster, did he? Oh
no, he didn't.
Oh,
so,
working.
So I've not actually seen him play. So
he's a good player, defender, isn't he?
Yeah.
But
good player. It was. I did watch the Marine game. We won't go into that.
Yeah.
But baptism of fire, you know, as a defender.
Yeah. And again, it's tough. But Mo, there's again, it's a good player. You know, an individual talent, and you know, brings a bit more Northern Premier League experience in there. So
in and around that. And so Enoch came in. We're going to Enoch with a K.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Enoch a little bit. So he came in that Ilkeston game.
Yeah.
He came off the bench and he did something I've never seen done, and I maybe even clipping that goal. So there was a corner. You know, there's argy-bargy when corners are coming in, and people, you know, are static, they may be on the toes. Enoch really made it happen. He's dropped to the back post. He's got a header, which just went down, but he's got on. Then Enoch got onto the rebound, which got blocked, and then he finished. I've never seen a footballer get to the ball in a box of 20-odd players. First to it.
He's determined. He's determined.
And he scored from a corner against Workington.
Yeah.
And they never seen that goal because we didn't put it out. And if they had, they would have marked him because he's done the tackle.
Oh, I get what you mean. Right, I get what you mean.
So
I was going to say the Workington highlights went out. Don't tell me that.
No.
But yeah, he's got a determination. He's got pace. He's got strength. He's a good finisher.
He can finish.
And he's got personality.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Enoch loves an argument. He's argued with our lads on the pitch, and that's what you like to see, and it shows he cares.
Yeah.
And I think he genuinely does care. And I think we put that clip out against Lancaster when he got subbed off. You know, that shows he cares. And I think he's a really good talent. I mean, how the hell we found him? Where the hell he came from and stuff like that.
From a brief reading, he came over from Spain and was at Darwin, which is North West Counties. He's played at Daisy Hill.
Oh, yes.
And then Accrington Stanley have signed
him,
which is an unreal jump, because no one signs players realistically from the North.
Well, I mean, with all due respect, you're not going to get a scout from a football league club going down to Daisy Hill, do you know what I mean? So that says it all. And do you know what? He wears the shirt with pride, and he will run at miles. He will run through a brick bloody wall to get 3 points.
I think with me promoting the club on hats, I was like, enjoy Enoch while you can, because I can see him kicking back on.
Definitely. And deservedly so.
Yeah.
Deservedly so. But him and Mansell up front, they're a good partnership.
They're a handful. That's what I'm clinging on to at the moment.
Yeah.
That those two will score us goals.
Yeah.
They absolutely will score us goals.
And they did against Lancaster.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then we've got... So, in the last episode, we were calling Lewis Mansell, which is something I'd never done. Apart from like Cova, which is his name, and we didn't mean it disrespectfully. It's like there's Lewis Coulson, Lewis Mansell, so there's Josh Askew, Josh Solomon Davis, There's Jordan Fagbowler, Jordan Boone, Jordan Scanlon, Dylan Moonen, Dylan Thompson.
Yeah. There's a few shared names.
So we've got an Enoch with a K, and then we've brought in Teddy.
Yeah.
Where
did he come from again?
Teddy was at Warrington Town last year, and Oxford United signed him.
And do you know what? He only came on for about half an hour against Lancaster, but I liked him. He's a big lad.
The first thing he did...
He played this beautiful ball.
Yeah, he played this beautiful ball straight away, which just set us off.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's unreal, that's so simple.
Yeah.
But the ball was...
It glided.
It was absolutely perfectly in a position to drive you forward. And I was like, that's like Alan Hansen-esque, like a ball playing centre back. It was immediately wow.
100%.
So,
and we've only really seen it for half an hour, and I think. Do you know what would have been useful for Teddy? Actually, would have been the way we kind of crumbled at Lancaster City, just for him to get a sense of where his position is in this squad. I mean. I don't know, how old is it, do you know?
I think he might be 19.
Because we've got a very young back four, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? We have got a very young back four. How old's Jordan Boone? 26?
I'm not sure about Booney.
He's still not that old.
I think he might be early 20s. Still.
Yeah, and I think he's one of the oldest because your Dylan Thompson's a young lad.
Yeah.
Josh Solomon Davies is young.
Yeah.
Lewis Colton's quite young.
That's kind of our identity.
Yeah.
I think it really is.
And so... One thing I was hoping you'd say is, Teddy's 28. I'm like, all right, it's good to get a bit of experience, but he's 18, so that's backfired, isn't it? But, it's, we'll see. I think he's going to do great.
I think, going back to the Lancaster game, I think we missed someone being horrible.
We missed that experience.
You know the thing they call the dark arts? The dark arts are killing your game.
I think one thing we did was... We let that Lancaster crowd behind the net. We played up to them a bit more too much. We were enjoying that a bit too much.
Yeah.
And I think we've done that's happened to us before. Where we've switched as a crowd, and we've made it a dead. Especially when you're trying to defend big corners, big throws, and it's tough. I remember Warrington Town away last season, where we were behind the net and we'd have corner after corner after corner, and you could sense something coming. You sensed a change in the direction. There was an arrogance with the Warrington keeper, and then all of a sudden, Scott McCord equalised, and you think, that was coming, and that was the sense you got at Lancaster. You knew it was coming.
I thought
because we weren't focused.
I thought they were really clever. They got the crowd up by just instigating a bit of argy-bargy. They caused us to switch off.
And if you've got that big ugly experienced centre back,
because I bet Chaddy,
you don't let that happen.
Chaddy had that.
Yeah,
in droves,
100%,
absolute droves,
100%. And I think there's something in that. But oh god, if only at 2-2 you're thinking, sickening, but let's keep all for the point, and then at 3-2 you're thinking, oh my god.
Story of our season. Lancaster beat us twice, and they haven't, for me, really deserved those.
We never really. They're not a club we ever have that much luck against. You know what I mean? It's either like a 0-0 or a 1-0 defeat.
That Lancashire.
The semi-final.
Semi-final where we scored a perfectly good goal that's given offside, and then. One of them.
I don't enjoy games against Lancaster City. I never have done. Never will do.
They celebrated it because that kind of assured their safety. It puts them that far.
On New Year's Day,
yeah.
And it's sitting because you look at the table and you think, oh my god, we got that. We would have been about 3 points from safety, and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my god, where's this?
You need to drag these clubs in. So I think we'll just mention that Mask today. So it's Thursday, whatever it is today, January the 4th or whatever. This kit's all set up for the home game on Saturday against Matlock. Mask have withdrawn from the league today, and they were out of the bottom 4. So I expect, it's not been announced yet, I expect that their results will be expunged.
Bear in mind, Mask beat us 4-1.
So that comes off, so that's good for our goal difference.
Extra,
and people who've beat Mask lose those points, so that throws a little bit of...
But that for me shows, it's like it's sad, gutting what's happened to us, but it's reassuring for us.
It's the reality
that we're struggling at the moment on the pitch. Of course we are. There's no doubts about that. I think that's safe. Mind you, form-wise, we're doing all right. We need to sort of celebrate that. But it reassures me that off the pitch we're doing the right things. Well, we are very tight with our budget.
Yeah.
We are a tightly run ship.
Well, this is what I don't understand. The amount of money they were asking, they were saying they needed to just
£120,000.
That's an excessively large amount of money.
Exactly, and if that's just their wage budget, then they've done the opposite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas we know we live within our means. Our wage budget is just to make sure that when the money comes in on a match day, the expenditure goes out on the wage budget, we're equal, we're even.
We saw that. We've had to raise the money for the extending the lease on the ground. You did the sponsored walk to Rylands, and we finished that.
Yeah.
We saw that what is a relatively small amount of money, but we've managed to pull that together
because we don't have well, it's not that we don't have the reserves, but it's like we don't have massive amount of money. Do you know what I mean? We don't have 5k we can pull out like that because we've got other things to pay. And that's, I am so proud of how this football club is run in that sense, because we aren't. We're not held. We don't have a puppeteer above us. We are our own club. We do our own thing. We're not dictated to by X, Y, and Z. And we've often said, sure, my God, if someone was to come in and say, I want to buy Atherton Collieries, then my God, we'd say, absolutely, let's sit down and talk about it. But until that moment, comes, should it ever come, then we are proud to be who we are, and there's no shame in that. And you know what? Some people get frustrated at that, and I get it. For example, they think, why are we accepting of the fact we're a relegation fodder this season? We're not accepting of that fact. What we're accepting of is the reality that our budget is never going to be able to compete. The argument would be, but Brad had the same budget. Well, there's two things really to say about that. Is, look, we stayed up by a goal last season. Sure, we had a wild ride along the way, but ultimately, when it came down to it, we stayed up by a goal. The season before, I think we stayed up by 3 points or something like that. So it's been coming. It's been coming. And the teams that have come up, have got bigger budgets.
So
Marine.
That's the thing that scared me. When you look at last season, you're like, right, what's the league going to look like this season?
Macclesfield, you know what I mean?
Well, you see Macclesfield coming up while they're getting 4k, so they can blow us out the water. You're hoping there's one of these teams that are getting 200. And you're like, no, Workington are coming up, and they're getting 4 figures again. They're maybe not getting 4 figures at the moment, but they're still pulling 700.
And I think they're mid-table at the moment. I mean, look at all the look at the teams in the relegations at the moment. Who've you got? You've got
Baseford are always going to be there because the same issues as us.
They're very similar to us in that sense.
Bradford Park Avenue came down from the Conference North.
Which shows again. And I spoke to their chairman, or I spoke to someone on their committee when we were there. Nothing's much actually has changed since the run-in of the conference days, so they're still working in a Conference North capacity. Wow. Well, they've just also got Danny Whitaker as their manager. Now, he's not going to go on the promise of, here you go, here's an envelope of cash. Do you know what I mean? He's going because he knows he's got a budget to spend, let's be honest. You don't go from being manager of Macclesfield to manager of Bradford Park Avenue without promise of success. And Stafford Rangers. Now, not one of them got promoted last season. Baseford came across from the Midlands. Bradford Park Avenue got relegated. We've been in the division for 2 seasons. And then you look at the teams slightly even above that. Who have you got? You've got Marsk, who have obviously had to withdraw from the league. Who else? I'm trying to think.
You're looking at them at your Bamber Bridges.
Your Bamber Bridges.
And your Gainsborough.
Exactly. And these are teams that have been established in these. Now,
well,
the argument is...
Bamber Bridge were in the playoffs.
Well, exactly. And so, we haven't done anything wrong per se. It's what's come up that has made the difference.
It's a bad year to be in this league.
Because Macclesfield, Workington, Rylands, who have come up, the season before last. I'm trying to think who else now, but who came up from the southern one?
Oh, pass.
But either way, teams at Marine, who came up a season before last as well. Teams with big budgets, and you're looking at them and you're thinking they're not going back down. I suppose the exception last season, and what saved us last season, were your Liversidges and your...
not Belper.
Belper Town. That didn't happen this time around.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we needed, to be fair. You need to finish above 4 teams.
Yeah.
And pick 4, and really difficult.
And you know, the general point I was making with this, and we've gone a bit of a side avenue here, but in terms of we are who we are, we've got what we've got. The pitch isn't great, right? There's no doubt about that. But we don't have. It's not like we can go out and buy a new tractor or buy, X, Y, and Z. We don't. We can't do that.
If we did, it'd go walkable.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, some kids would break in, and it'd be gone.
You know, we don't have X amount a week to pay for somebody to come on and look after it, because that is the reality of our situation. Yeah. When we're having to, using mask again as an example, we don't want to do a mask where we have to turn around and say, actually, you know what, we will have a tractor, we will spend money on our pitch, and we will do this, that and the other, but we're not going to be able to play any competitive games.
I think
we don't want to do that. I think
that what happened with them was Mark, the chairman, who I met when we played them the first time. I think he just withdrew for whatever reasons. So
then they've got to go to our model of break even.
Yeah, and it's very difficult.
And again, I mean, on the weather has been horrific too. Yeah. Like the rain this week has been awful.
It's been a storm upon a storm upon a storm.
Exactly, and everybody knows our pitch is our pitch, and could we do a little bit more? Sure, there are avenues looking into that at the moment, but we haven't got a big. It's not like we're sitting on a pot of money going, "No, we're not spending that."
Well, what I'd say is,
it just doesn't exist.
What I'd say is, if anyone can help in any way on that front, then rather than commenting on social media, actually get involved.
Because that's one thing as well. We don't have the time.
Because that's what we are. Well, because I don't know anything about that.
We're too busy. Like, for example, I can't go on the pitch because I'm too busy thinking about how we're going to sell the next game, Yeah. But Paul Gregory, the chairman, can't go on the pitch because he's too busy getting the bar arranged, getting X, Y, and Z, securing this sponsorship. Emil can't go on the pitch because he's too busy signing players on, getting the paperwork and stuff like that. So when you look around, it's like, well, who is there? Yeah. So if anybody does have the time to give up and go on the pitch, maybe 3-4 hours across the week, that makes a massive difference. It does. And we have got people, there are people that do it, people that don't come watching on a match day, they just do it because they enjoy it and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think there's about 2 that do look at it. But of course, if there's more, there's more. But the reason why we can't spend X amount a week is because
that money comes out your playing budget.
Well, exactly.
That's what it has to.
We cut our cloth accordingly.
There's a number of other things that you have to spend. You've got your fixed costs, obviously, and the cost of electricity has gone up and whatever.
And heating.
Yeah, and then the maintenance of the ground, and we need to improve. And there's been improvements, like marked improvements, and it's important that we develop the ground as well. Because
that's where you make, like, small thing, building a tee hut. I mean, we've not joked about this in the past. The fact bricks and mortar has been laid on this ground when everybody knows we're just a sea of cabinets from time to time is no small feat.
Yeah, it's a fantastic.
That's allowed us to fit chip fryers.
Yeah.
Chips obviously don't cost a lot of money. That's where, traditionally restaurants and cafes, that's where your profit margins go up as well.
Freezing cold, give me a plate of chips.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's also, we've got a club shop that is stocked.
Yeah.
That's not a small mean feat. No. Do you know what I mean? I mean, think about on a match day, the expenses. You're paying your players' wages, which is X, right? You're paying the officials, which can be a good, that depending on distance and stuff like that, it can be a good £400-500. Then, you sort of program printing costs and stuff like that, team sheet printing costs. It all of a sudden adds up. And
we can say this because we're surrounded by equipment that's all my own.
Yeah.
And I drove up to Lancaster to film the game.
Yeah.
However much that's cost me.
Oh yeah, nobody takes a penny out either. Nobody takes a penny out.
So we're sat here contributing what we can.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
it needs more.
And we're not. It's all going back to this Mars thing here, really, and that's where this has all come from. But my point is, the reason why we don't have the best pitch in the world, the reason why we don't have
a new changing rooms would be fantastic. Blockhead, a big stand.
The reason
That's the dream, isn't it?
The reason why some seats are broken in the main stand. The reason why we're not top of the league. The reason why we're Atherton Collieries is because
we are Atherton.
We're a community-run club
that
just wants to play competitive football. that hasn't raised its admission prices since pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
One of the only clubs in the league too, because we recognise, you know, we're here to serve the town.
We struggled with that when it was £5 in the North West Counties, and when we came into what was the Evo,
we raised it to 8, wasn't it?
It went to £8, and I couldn't conceive a world in which people from Atherton's paid £8 to watch a game of football.
Exactly, and it's tough, and it's not who we want to be. It's not who we
choice in that.
Do you remember the meetings we used to have though?
Yeah.
They used to go on for hours because we were deliberating over, shall we? You know, we're going to have to, because ultimately the league set the minimum price, and £8 a minimum, and we were looking at ways we can subsidise that. When we had to make the changes to the 1916 club this year, because we were making a loss on that scheme because of the cup games, we had meetings over that, agonising, wondering how can we do this? How are we going to do this? Because fundamentally, it might not seem it sometimes, but every decision we make is for the people that come through the turnstile. We just want them, you know, we had to put the price of lager up 10p. Agonising, do you know what I mean? Because, I mean, look, in the grand scheme, it's still very cheap, £3.50 a pint, good grief. I mean, you and I, you know, would bite your hands off of that, wouldn't you? But for some people, it is a big step, and we get that. And every single penny that comes into this club is, you know, there is a pressure of, right, we've got to use this responsibly. So we did the fundraiser for the lease, which was the right thing to do, because if we're going to secure this football club, then you might as well feel a part of that, and it allows us to do interesting things like the sponsored walk. I was a part of the sponsored walk. What a fantastic experience! That is my highlight of 2023 with Colls, just because it was just such a good. I've never done anything like that before. I've never done a sponsored walk.
I think I was still in bed by the time we sat off.
And it was just, there was 5 of us initially, and then Gibbo joined us at McDonald's in Tilsley. But no, Gibbo did walk from the club, in fairness, he was just a bit late. And then Rob joined us in Warrington, and it had a great laugh. And you know, we just felt like we raised just in that day alone something like £400 or £500, and it just, God, you thought, fantastic, that's going straight to the club, it's going to secure in the future of the ground. And you know what? That money's not come from some man that might pull out in 2-3 years' time. It's come from you and me. And
it's the thing that I didn't contribute to it, so it didn't come from me, so apologies.
No.
But it's grown on.
I'll get him after for a tenner.
I do contribute in other ways.
Yes,
But the club's growing organically. We're like, the supporters club's a new thing, isn't it? I don't think we've praised them highly enough.
But the amount of money they bring into the club is ridiculous.
Because going back to my early days in watching the Colls, it was the crazy gang, you know, and how many people, if we played away at Squires Gate, for example, how many away fans would there be? Like,
I mean, I remember one time, you know, Northwich Flixton Villa away in Clegg's first year. When it was one of our first defeats, we lost 3-2. There was about 8. You know, AFC Blackpool away, which I think you went to. Matt Lawton was there, about 12. You know, and now all of a sudden,
the way that's grown.
I mean, look at Lancaster is the most recent.
You said that, you know, at Lancaster, we've got a travelling support back for Allsey today.
Yeah. Well, even probably more against Lancaster 60 and stuff like that. Southport last season, that cup final, 100. You know, and you know, it's, you've got to take the rough with the smooth.
This is the huge positive, really, isn't it? Yeah. The club has grown as it's gone up the league. You can't compete with the teams in this league that are pulling regularly 1,000, but we've grown it to, I think, somewhere approaching the full potential.
Oh, definitely. And you know, I saw a comment the other day, and I get it, and this is about being open, really, and honest. You know, we seem accepted to going down. Again, we're not accepted to going down. Of course we want to stay up. Of course we want to stay in this league. I remember the season we went up, I'll keep harking back to this, that everyone involved at the club at the time just went flat out. For the last couple of months, it drained me that much. We all put that much into it. I never want to go down, you know, because it means that much to be in this league, to achieve that. But there is just a reality whereby the big guy ultimately is going to beat the little guy, and
it's out of my control. I'm a Bolton Wanderers supporter. The same thing happened to Bolton.
And we're not going down without a fight.
No.
And we've not, well, first of all, we've not gone down, but second of all, we're certainly not going down without a fight.
No.
And I think that's one thing I reminded myself. I was gutted against Lancaster on New Year's Day, but I thought,
we've played well.
My God, that was a competitive game.
Yeah, we've competed.
And as long as we're competing, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, just like I said before, someone being horrible would have seen us over the line in that game.
Yeah.
But we've done enough. Lewis Mansell's goal is just finish. Superb. And then Enoch's goal.
Yeah, that header.
Yeah, brilliant.
Three keepers would have saved that because of the way it sort of bounced over the line, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So where you've got these guys, there's hope. There's hope still. And
you just never know. Another mask might happen, you know? You just never know. And all we can do is keep the faith and keep coming and keep ploughing our own money in, because if I stop, you stop, you stop. If you think, well, I'm not going to bother today because we'll lose, then you're thinking, my God, well, that's £10 entry gone, a couple of pints, £6 a pie, all of a sudden 20 quid.
It snowballs.
If 10 people do that, you know, you're thinking, well, it's 200 quid and stuff like that. And then
we talked about this in the past where we're talking about entrance and getting people involved in all these things. Getting 10 people more to come through the door was a huge thing. You know, on crowds of 120, you get 5 people more through the door. It's a significant.
Well, I mean, look, when you and I first started coming down, there was home crowds of 60. Say, I mean, when you look at, we average now about 240. That is literally a growth of over 100%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing we need to do now is make sure, right, so our budget is according to this average now of 200. That's how much we're expecting for each home game. We just need to make sure, and supporters also, you guys have a responsibility to stick with us through the tough times too. Because
I'll be stood on a gantry freezing me. What's it's off on Saturday.
Because it's
because it matters.
Of course it does. So yeah. But that is why we're proud to be Colls, because we've never relied on anybody else. We've always relied on ourselves.
Yeah. That's your identity.
That's what you see with Colls, quite literally, is what you get, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly sometimes.
I do think, I've always thought this, that someone should have done a TV show, because it was so good.
It wouldn't be allowed to air at times, you know what I mean? There'd be scenes cut out. So
David Patano, everything with him would be edited out.
You'd just be this blurry figure in the background where, you know, there's a dodgy cut.
You know what we've got to say thanks to is Tony the physio.
Yes. Yeah. So there was obviously one of our supporters, and steward on a match day, Vinny. Legend is Vinny. Great laugh. When we played Macclesfield away, he was going around getting selfies with all the United team that were there, Steve Bruce and stuff like that, because he's a United fan himself.
Vinny's been here as long as I can remember.
Yeah, and he's Atherton, Colls through and through. And he's been following the club since way beyond the North West Counties days. He had a bit of an episode really and collapsed, and Tony Dunn was nothing short of heroic, really, in the way he managed that situation. So thank you, Tony. Vinny is not fully recovered yet. You know, he's not doing great, not doing terrible. Still in hospital. So they're still keeping an eye on him. So it's a fairly serious thing.
This episode, I guess we
100%,
dedicate to those
100%.
to Vinny and
hopefully he's watching in hospital.
That'd be brilliant.
Hopefully he's watching in the hospital.
Yeah.
And Vinny, when you get out, Cal and I will get you a Guinness. That's all I will say, because he likes a pint of Guinness.
Happy days.
So brilliant.
So have we got anything else to cover beyond that?
I don't think so.
Could do another episode February.
January's a funny one. Let's just hope the weather books its ideas up.
We don't have to play Mask away.
That's a blessing.
So there's no Parmos.
What a shame.
Yeah.
Mars, it's a funny ground, isn't it? Because when it's miserable there, it's miserable.
Do you remember when we
played there in the Vars, didn't we?
The trophy.
The trophy. Yeah.
And I got some new equipment. I'd started toying with how do we get this to look better. And I've got a thing that held my phone to film the interviews, and it stabilised it. And I got a microphone which removed the wind noise because it was windy as hell. And I'm doing this, and the wind just blew it over, and I was like, oh God.
And it was, you can see the coast, but every time I've been to Mars, it's chucked it down, or it's been horrifically windy. But yeah, it's sad they've gone. But yeah, so we've got Who have we got coming up on Saturday? What are they called?
Matlock.
We've got Matlock on Saturday. And we've got a bit of a break because Radcliffe are involved in the trophy still.
Yeah.
Then we've got...
I'll pull it up, shall I?
I've got it in the calendar. Let's see.
I had it anyway. What Guiseley? 2 weeks after.
Tough. It's a tough. Rugby game's tough.
Yeah.
At home. Then Ashton United.
I'm not going to that. No
then
chance.
maybe Colls v Morpeth rearranged on the 3rd.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Bamber Bridge should be good away. Hyde United away. These are local games, aren't they? They're not a bad trip out.
Absolutely. So we'll just have to see where it takes us, really.
Yeah.
Who knows where we will be in 10 games' time? We can only wait and see.
The miracle.
I know.
The miracle.
The great escape.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Right. Cheers for watching if you've made it this far.
Yeah. Thank you.
Catch you next time. Cheers.